ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयाम् उदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्तो हि अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी. So today we're going to read from Canto 3, the status quo, chapter 32, words 40 and 41. The canto title is The Status Quo, and chapter title is Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. Verse 40. Na lolupayo padishena griha ruda chetase na bhaktaya chame jatu na madbhakta dvishamapi. Synonyms. Na, not. Lolupaya, to the greedy. Upadishet, one should instruct. Sorry. Na, not. Griha aruda chetase, to one who is too attached to family life. Na, not. Abhaktaya, to the non-devotee. Cha, and. Me, of me. Jatu, ever. Na, not. Mat, my. Bhakta, devotees. Tvisham, to those who are envious of. Api, also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to family life, not to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of the devotees and the personality of Godhead, and of the personality of Godhead. Purport. Persons who are always planning to do harm to other living entities are not eligible to understand Krishna consciousness and cannot enter into the realm of transcendental loving service to the Lord. Also, there are so-called disciples who can become submissive to a spiritual master most artificially, with an ulterior motive. They also cannot understand what Krishna consciousness or devotional service is. Persons who, due to being initiated by another sect of religious faith, do not find devotional service as a common platform for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also cannot understand Krishna consciousness. We have experienced that some students come to join us, but because of being biased to in some particular type of faith, they leave our camp and become lost in the wilderness. Actually, Krishna consciousness is not a sectarian religious faith. It is a teaching process for understanding the Supreme Lord and our relationship with Him. Anyone can join this movement without prejudice, but unfortunately, there are persons who feel differently. Therefore, it is better not to instruct the science of Krishna consciousness to such person. Generally, materialistic persons are after some name, fame, and material gain. So if someone takes to Krishna consciousness for these reasons, he will never be able to understand this philosophy. Such persons, sorry, such persons take to religious principles as social decoration. They admit themselves into some cultural institutions for the sake of name only, especially in this age. Such persons also cannot understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Even if one is not greedy for material possession, but is too attached to family life, he also cannot understand Krishna consciousness. Superficially, such persons are not very greedy for material possessions, but they are too attached to wife, children, and family improvement. When a person is not contaminated by the above mentioned faults, yet at the ultimate issue is not interested in the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if he is a non-devotee, he also cannot understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Verse 41. Shraddhadhanaya bhaktaya vinitaya na suyave bhuteshu krutamaitreya sushrushabhirataya cha. Synonyms: Shraddhanaya, faithful; Bhaktaya, to the devotee; Vinitaya, respectful; Ana asuyave, non-envious; Bhuteshu, to all living entities; Krita Maitreya, friendly; Sushrusha, faithful service; Abhirataya, eager to render; Cha, end. Translation: instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangvam langayate girim yat kripa tavaham vande Shri Gurun Deenataranam. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. I'd like to seek blessings from all the Vaishnava devotees who are present here. Please bless me, please empower me so that I can speak which is in line to these verses and purify my mind and heart. So I heard a lecture from His Grace Bal Govind Prabhu last year on his channel on Sajjina Toshani. And I've summarized some of points from there. So please extend your blessings. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So as we can see, this is a continuation of conversation between Kapila Muni and his mother, Devahuti. So, and in few chapters actually, and in this chapter specifically, Kapila Muni touches the subject of people who gets into fruitive activities. And in these two verses specifically, it is mentioned that who should not receive the instructions, the divine instructions, the spiritual instructions, and who is eligible to receive spiritual instructions. Or in other words, when we are aspiring ourselves to become initiated from our guru, what are the qualities that are expected that we should attain is something that is described here. So the second, in the case of who are not eligible, Prabhupada described primarily into 5 main categories. The first one of the main categories is the enviousness. So enviousness can also result into like the severe or higher, or what do you call, extreme enviousness would result into doing harm to others. So envious of whom? So envious of devotees, envious of Lord Krishna. So when it is also said that in the scripture, even if the external non-devotees are a little bit envious of Krishna, that should be okay. But if they are, I mean, that's not actually okay. But if they are envious of the devotees of Krishna, then they are completely ruled out. The only path, only direction they can actually go would be downwards. They become more and more entangled into this material world, and ultimately they are finished. So the second thing it is described about is being hypocrite, being unclean, having an unclean behavior, and also being agnostic. So in the agnostic can be again understood in two different categories. One would be a person or initially who have an ulterior motives. So as we can see the example of Dhruva Maharaj, right? Initially, he had a desire of material to acquire a kingdom greater than his father. That was his material motivation. But when he actually got initiated from Narada Muni or got an instruction from Narada Muni, and when he actually took it very seriously, even though he had this material motivation, by sincerely practicing it, by sincerely following his guru's word, he got his material inclination got purified. And at the end, when Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu appeared in front of Lord Narayana appeared in front of Dhruv Maharaj, he didn't had even a single tinge of material desire left in his mind, right? So that is what happens when we sincerely take up the words of Guru and sincerely try to follow it. That is when we get the purity, we get the ultimate benefit. But most of us, when we actually come to Krishna consciousness or in any particular religious sect, we kind of have some ideas, some things in our mind. We get attracted because of certain features of Krishna consciousness. Probably it's because of the devotees are really good. We get good prasadam, or there is the deity seva is done so beautifully. Some or other, or probably because of our children, because there are Sunday schools, so they get, even though you are not devotees, but at least our children get this education. So that way, uh, we are happy seeing them happy. So those are some of the things that we come to Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we also come for our social decorations, like to show ourselves that we are dharma parayana, we are trying to follow our religious thing, and we come up with our own concepts. Like we are doing the karma part of it. We don't really do the bhakti part of it, but I'm just doing my karma. I'm just earning for myself and maintaining my family. That's all it's needed. So we have so many of those misconceptions. And if we keep those misconceptions going on, then we will not be able to achieve that ultimate goal of life, which is to attain the prema of Krishna. Recently, we were in Vrindavan and we went to Radha Vinod temple, and the priest there was actually the Goswami there. He was explaining that how the Madhurya Prem is the only one that can actually help us to lift from our mode of ignorance to give the ultimate prema. Even if we do deity worship without the proper connection, without proper understanding it, without doing a nama seva, there is no way that we can actually attain the ultimate perfection, because that is what this Yuga Dharma is all about. Sankirtana. Sankirtana means taking the names, right? So that's why this Kali Yuga is dovetailed to doing the Nama Seva properly. And when people come up with these notions, with pre-perceived notions coming from, it can be from the another sect, religious, or it could be something which we have been following all the life, right? So we come with a different background because most of us are Indians, so we know we used to worship different demigods, and we also come up with conception. Okay, let me also do demigod worship and then do Krishna seva. But when we do sincerely, we understand that all of this material and all of these things for which we came for slowly gets wipes away, and then we get into mode of complete Krishna consciousness to a state. Uh, and there are some devotees who are in the state where they can give their life for Krishna. They don't want anything else in the life, not even for anything. Man, Apman, it doesn't matter. As Lord Chaitanya talks in Shikshastakam, we should not be after any fame, name and fame, or any woman, or completely surrender unto Krishna. In fact, if we look at the conclusions of other religions, that is what many of the religions also talk about. that at the end we need to surrender ourselves to one God. Especially Adi Shankaracharya, in his Gita Mahatyam, he says this verse 7. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva, Eko Mantras Tasyan Tasya Namani Yani, Karma Karmapye Kamatasya Deva Devasya Seva. In this present day, people are very much eager to have one scripture. So let that be one God, one religion, and one occupation. So that is what our main intention is. And therefore, let there be one scripture, only Bhagavad Gita. Let there be one God for the whole world, Sri Krishna. Let there be only one mantra, one prayer, the chanting of his names, which is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So even Shankaracharya also claims that we should actually, we don't need to worship all demigods, or we should, let's not multi-diverse our intelligence in various, invest in different sectors, but rather in a unison bring it to one particular uh, God, the supreme God. Why not supreme God, Lord Krishna? So that we are completely surrendered to him. When we are surrendered to one person, we can actually love him. If we are invested ourselves in different gods, whom will we love? No, we cannot love. We cannot have multiple people around, right? So, I mean, if you want to completely surrender, we can surrender to one God, but we cannot surrender to multiple gods. That's what I meant to say. So, that's why. And Krishna also declares in Bhagavad Gita, says that you don't need to worry about it. Just surrender unto me, and I will take care of all your papa. So that is what we need to do. And if you look at all these 5 categories, what Prabhupada has mentioned in the properties, these 5 kinds of people are not eligible for receiving any instruction. And if we internalize and try to meditate on ourselves and try to look at it, some or other, some percent of others of each of these qualities, these bad qualities, which are there in our mind. We are envious, we are agnostic, we are envious of whether devotees or some or other. We are agnostic. Also, we don't have complete faith in Krishna, so we are a little bit agnostic too. So there's a percentage of agnostic there. We have unclean behavior. We think bad about others. We are hypocrite. We know that what we need to do, but we don't follow the instructions. So we have everything in this. But how come that we got these ultimate instructions, wherever we are? It's all because of mercy of Krishna. It's all because of mercy of Prabhupada. It is said that Krishna has given these guidelines to uh, select and few whom this knowledge can be transferred. But the bhaktas are so merciful. They're so merciful, more merciful than Krishna. Like especially Prabhupada. Krishna said to Prabhupada, don't go to West, because all these categories of people exist in that people and in a higher concentration, right? But he said, no, he want to go. Then he went with his determination, with his sternness, and then Krishna has to follow because he's always with his bhaktas. So let's not, as we have all these bad qualities, the only way we can attain the love of Krishna is by giving up some of these qualities slowly and gradually, and then holding the Prabhupada's dhoti tighter and tighter. And that's the only way we can actually attain this love of Godhead and get the ultimate perfection. So I'll end with one of the quote from His Holiness Kadam Kanand Swami Maharaj. He says, I would say that in our Hare Krishna movement, one of the great causes of devotees becoming dry in their spiritual practices is because they do not get absorbed in reading. You see, chanting is something you do because we measure it. 16 rounds. It is very clear. But we do not vow to do 1 hour of reading. 1 hour of reading. We just do not make that vow. So we do not give it the same urgency, but it should have the same urgency. Reading of scriptures is very important, very, very important. If we are not reading, I guarantee you that everything will become stale. So, in order to improve our taste, in order to improve the hunger for Krishna consciousness, we should also invest ourselves, in addition to chanting 16 rounds, we should also invest ourselves in reading scriptures. So, these were some of the points that I could assimilate. Thank you so much.